Welcome back to the Coffee Bar with your favorite bartender. I am A5 Cup of Coffee, and we are going to be covering Season 2, Episode 6 of The Boys. We're going to be doing an overview today. I hope you all got your drink. I know I do. And let's go ahead and jump right into this episode. We're going to do a breakdown by the group of characters that are pretty much sticking together at this point throughout the episode. And you all let me know how you all are liking The Boys, and if y'all agree or disagree with the release of every Friday. I personally like the release of every Friday, but I know not everybody does. So let's get right back into this episode. So it starts off with a murder sex scene with Stormfront and Homelander. So they actually stopped this guy. He basically just came out of a robbery, and they had their little, I guess, sexual thing going on, and Homelander crushes the guy's head out of nowhere, and that's the beginning of the episode, just right off the bat. So, just kind of sticking with each group of characters, we're going to move on from Stormfront and Homelander as of right now. We're going to go ahead and hit up Maeve, A-Train, and the Deep. So, from the last episode, we saw that the Deep was having his Tom Cruise moment. I know they're taking shots at Tom Cruise, talking about he's so happy because he just got married. He had his Oprah Katie Holmes moment in the last episode. And at the end of the last episode, you saw that Maeve was actually trying to coerce him to help her because she wants to actually build some protection for her and her girlfriend Elena. And the Deep wants to get back into the 7, and so she kind of tells him, hey, you want to get back into the 7? This is how you can do it. So, basically, Maeve actually has the Deep look for some of the wreckage from the plane that actually crashed in the first season, which, if you saw the first season, it was a pretty sad sight. The plane crashed because Homelander refused to help the people. So, the Deep actually comes onto set where they're shooting the movie. He sees A-Train, and he offers him a Fresca. He knows he's getting booted, and he offers him a Fresca. So we already know that's going to be leading in to inviting A-Train into the collective. So pause there for a second. He actually does get a camera video footage to Maeve from the actual, some halibut found it. It was actually pretty funny how he actually put it up. But in any case, he made a little joke there, and he did get her a camera. He's not sure if it works. So, fast forward, Elena and Maeve are in the apartment, and Elena actually finds the video that is actually going on, and it does show that Maeve and Homelander left those people on the plane, and it shows a guy, telling his family he loves them, and he just basically, unfortunately, knew he was gonna die. And that footage was found by Elena, and so Maeve tries to explain to her, she says she's sorry, and she knows she should have stood up to Homelander, but she didn't. She was afraid, and she was saying, hey, you know what, we're gonna use this footage to get him to leave us alone, because right now they are really pushing this whole brave Maeve thing and her being a lesbian and all of that, and she's not feeling it. It's really forced on her right now, but they're gonna try to use that footage as a way to keep Homelander from messing with them. But Elena doesn't really look like she's really with the plan. Fast forward to the Deep and A-Train. The Deep actually brings A-Train to the leader of the Church of the Collective or whatnot, and the leader basically lets A-Train know, hey, you know what? I know, you're in debt. I know that you have a heart problem. I know that you're basically a junkie. Let us help you. Let us help you get back into the 7. And so they're using the same kind of leverage that they're using on the Deep as of right now. I honestly think the Church of the Collective is going to be a pretty big problem for either Homelander or the Boys. It looks like they're kind of recruiting these, what you would normally say are B-level heroes, and they're recruiting them and kind of giving them promises of this grandeur, and I think they're going to be a bit of a problem later on down the line. If not the end of this season, the next season. So that, be on the lookout for them. So a lot going on there. So the big I would say meat and potatoes of the episode is following the boys at this point. Frenchie comes back, and after the last episode, he was upset, and he was pretty much done with the female. He comes back into the fold, and he helps Huey take a tracker out of Starlight. And Butcher is pretty prejudiced against any supers. He kind of let it be known when he told his wife, Ron's just kind of a soup runt or whatnot, whatever name he called him. So he kind of shows his prejudices there. And Starlight can feel him, but she's not afraid of Butcher. She's not afraid of him. She's not as timid as Huey is, and she kind of calls him on his stuff. She really does. So we have that back and forth going on while Huey's kind of trying to play the in-between man and help them get along, and they just do not like each other. Butcher for his prejudices, and Starlight for she's not gonna deal with the BS that Huey deals with normally. So we got that going on, and then we get the backstory of Frenchie, how he's recruited into the boys, how him and MM used to be really good friends, and we got the backstory on why MM didn't like Frenchie for the longest, which is basically he felt like it was his fault that the recruiters' grandchildren actually got burned by a lamplighter. So Lamplighter is actually in this episode, and in his backstory. And so basically the long end of the short of it is Frenchie was supposed to be following Lamplighter. He stops following him because he goes to help out his OD and best friend, and by the time he gets back to the party, Lamplighter's gone because Lamplighter has gone to burn Mallory, the recruiter. But he didn't know that the children were in the bed, and he burns the children instead, and it was too late by the time he tried to stop. So that's what happened with that. That's the backstory on that. And Frenchie, tells him, hey, you know what? Why you didn't tell us this after all these years? And you got all the tension from them in the last season between the two of them, how he didn't trust Frenchie and whatnot. And Frenchie was like, I didn't tell you because I didn't want to be left off the hook. I felt like it was my fault. I had to make a tough choice. I made my choice, and people suffered for it. So that's that on that. And it was a lot of emotion through Frenchie in this episode, and I absolutely love all the character developments. We got to see MM kind of his backstory on last episode, and we got Frenchie on this episode. And now the female, I feel like she understands Frenchie a little bit more. And Frenchie is kind of letting go of trying to save her, which is actually a good growth for his character because he's been trying to save her since the first season. Save her. And he, at this point, he's like, you know what? I can't atone for my sins through you. So, I'll leave you alone. I'll stop smothering you. And it looks like the female is going to say something, but she really doesn't. So, they find all this out while they find out Lamplighter is in this facility which Starlight leads them to. And the cool thing about it is they are actually making adult soups there. They are actually injecting them with compound B, trying to find the right strain in order to inject adults to give them powers. And I think this is a call to the comic books. This isn't going to be too much of a spoiler, but in the comic books, what ends up happening is, okay, it might be a little bit of a spoiler, so turn away if you don't want to hear this part. But in the comic books, Huey and Butcher and MM, they all have some sort of powers. And I think this is going to help level the playing field whenever they find out whatever the correct strain is, because they are injected in the comic books with a version of Compound V, and it gives them a little bit more durability, a little bit more strength to actually be able to deal with some of the soups. So I think this is kind of leading into that. Because in this facility, it's a mental facility, and so they have these people, and they are basically injecting them with different strains and trying to see if they can do it without any side effects, without them exploding or having some of the nausea side effects, whatnot. And the person who's over all this, check this out, is Stormfront. So while they're trying to break in and see what's going on from the lead from Starlight, Stormfront actually shows up, and like I said before, they actually end up working with Lamplighter in order to stop the riot break that actually ends up happening because of the boys. So, and Lamplighter actually fighting, they actually start a riot, and some of these supes have some of the most extraordinary powers. We have one supe who actually, she's telekinetic, and she pops people with a thought. And when I say pop people, she literally makes them explode with a thought. And she lets the others free. They all get out. We have one guy who basically has a shockwave actually emanating from him. We'll get to him in a second. And then there is this one guy with a interesting attachment that actually lengthens from him, if you get my drift. Check it out. Check out the episode if you want to see it. But yeah, it's pretty interesting how that works. It's you think it's a tentacle, but I'll put it this way, it's not. So yeah, check that out. And so in any case, Lamplighter and the boys basically stop the actual riot as much as they can. Stormfront arrives and she actually puts down a lot of the people who got outside. And the strongest one, which is the one I was telling you all about, that was had telekinesis, she actually puts her down with a lot of lightning. She puts her down, and she thinks she's out of there for the moment. Lamplighter actually ends up leaving with the boys after Stormfront leaves the facility. He tells her he's going to take care of everything, and when he does, they actually meet up with Mallory, which is who Lamplighter is. He burned her grandchildren, unfortunately, and so they all meet with her, and we think she's gonna kill him, but she doesn't. And so I think they're gonna have a plan for Lamplighter here going forward. Like I said, you get a little bit more of Frenchie's backstory, which is actually pretty cool. And then him and the female are actually connecting on a different level now that he's not gonna be smothering her as much anymore. So actually a really good part for them, and that's how their tale ends. So while they're doing all that, the guy I told you all about with the shockwave, he actually emits a shockwave that actually flips over the van because Huey, Starlight, and Butcher are the lookouts. And the flipping of the van actually impales Huey with, like, I want to say it's a piece of metal or a piece of glass. In any case, it impales him. And through this ordeal, Butcher has a little bit more respect for Starlight with the things that they have to go through. But Starlight doesn't want it. She just lets him know that she feels like he's no better than Homelander. She actually compares him to Homelander. And by the end of their ordeal, I think they have more of a mutual respect for each other because of Huey. They both feel like Huey's their canary, which Butcher refers to, and they both feel like Huey never gives up on the people that he loves, which includes Butcher, and on some level, and does definitely include Starlight. And Starlight says a phrase which I can't disagree with. She says, "Hey, Huey's too good for both of us," and I think he's gonna be the glue to hold everybody together. Butcher is the de facto leader, but I think Huey is rising in his own right to be that secondary leader or that leader when Butcher's gone, because he's doing a lot, and they showed that in the first episode that Butcher, he's not completely ready to let go of that leadership role, but he is recognizing Huey for what he's worked to the team and himself. So that's a cool thing to end it there. Now, I know that was the meat and potatoes, but the dessert was actually Stormfront and Homelander. So Homelander is actually really falling for Stormfront, and he actually is actually showing his nicer side, if you can believe it. He actually has a thing of roses in his trailer, and he's like, "Hey, you know, come to my trailer, I want to show you something." And she's thinking it's just something sexual, so she's kind of like blowing him off a little bit, and he's like, "Hey, you know what, come to my trailer." And basically, like I said, he has this bouquet of roses all in a heart, and it's like, "Thanks for giving me a great day." He's just like really appreciating her, something you don't really see much from Homelander, because he's being manipulated by so many people, and he just rages out when things don't go his way, because at heart he's still a child. And in any case, she tells him, "Hey, you know what? I'll be back in 20 minutes. I got a meeting at the vault tower," and she flies off. In the episode, you do realize that she has gone to the facility to handle the business there, and trying to get the Compound V to work, so they can basically build an army. That's what they're trying to do. In any case, while he's waiting, Homelander has a rage fit. And all of a sudden you see all the trailers and everything flipped over, and he blames it on an electrical fire, but you know that it's Homelander's fault. He has basically eye lasered everything, and it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts on how he does it. So that Stormfront gets back right after all of this happens, and he is heated, and he basically lets her know, hey, you know what, you don't have to explain nothing to me, which he really feels like he's owed an explanation. And by the end of the episode, they show Stormfront and Homelander. They have one more scene together, and Stormfront basically lets her know, hey, you know what, I'm gonna let you know everything, and it's starting with my origin. So she actually does let him know that, hey, she is Liberty, and it goes back further than that. She lets him know that she was actually born in 1919. So back right during World War One, I want to say, in that time period, or right before. And so she lets him know, hey, she was actually married to the top guy, Vault, when he was actually still alive. And she just kind of lets him know that that's how old she is. She shows him a picture of her and her daughter, and her daughter is much, much older than her. And she unfortunately died of Alzheimer's. But Stormfront basically shows Homelander, her truth and her path up into coming. And she lets him know that she was the first person that was injected with a strain of compound V that worked. Mr. Vought actually injected her with the first good strain of compound V, and from that he actually went and had the idea to create Homelander. Now here's the cool kicker, and well, I won't say cool quick kicker, but the kicker to that. This is basically kind of like the Stormfront in the comics. I know they did the gender flip and everything, but this is pretty much the same thing. And she still has the same ideals that he did. She's still racist. She still has her strong beliefs, and that's why she's acted the way she has, like with the females, the female's brother, how she did everybody in that apartment complex that was African American, and also how she treats A-Train. She feels like she's superior. She really does. And kind of going back to a remark that she made in the first episode when she met Homelander, she was like, wow, your eyes are really blue. And it sounded like she was really amazed, and she really was, because as you all know, with Hitler and how all of them, the superior race and all of that, they blonde-haired, blue-eyed, the perfect man, all of that. That's what Homelander is at this point, and that's how she sees him, and she is in love with the idea that he's the quote-unquote perfect man and was made by Vault, which was her man at the time. So she's absolutely letting him know, hey, I'm absolutely in love with you. You are basically the culmination of my husband's ideas, and you're gonna lead this superhero army, and we're gonna take back what's ours. And she feels like that other cultures are mixing in, and they're degrading the pure race, and she still has those ideals from World War II and whatnot, and that time period, and she's gonna bring that forward. I think that's her big plan. She's gonna have all the supes basically team up and destroy the different races. I think that's her overall plan, and I think because she doesn't like the Vault that is present day. She is. That's why she's so outwardly spoken against it. And they have this little scene where they are, kissing at the end or whatnot, and he basically forgives her for leaving them hanging or whatnot, because she does actually tell him the truth or whatnot. So their bond is becoming stronger, and I'm not sure what's more dangerous at this point. Starlight starting not to care about some of the people that are in her way. Stormfront and Homelander actually gelling together. That's a dangerous combination. Or the Church of the Collective. You can't forget about the Church of the Collective, because it is actually interesting as well. So that's all the things that are going on. And then little tag at the end, Stormfront actually doesn't finish off that one person injected with compound V that she came into contact with, she actually lives and she's hitchhiking. And so that's another loose end that's left hanging at the end of the Boys. So like I told you all before on my Facebook page, follow me at Feel More Coffee. I'm always putting up movie stuff and episodic things just like this. But there are a lot of things going on right now, and this show is written very well, and it has so many storylines that are intertwined. I absolutely love it. You all let me know in the comments what you all like, what you all didn't like about this episode. Let me all also know if you all want me to kind of cover a little less about the comics, because it's deviating from the comics of the Boys, but some of the things kind of come into play here. And lastly, let me all know what you all think about the simple sangria. I will be dropping a video on how to make this. It's actually really good. Yeah. So, once again, it's been your favorite bartender, A5 Cup of Coffee. Like, share, subscribe, hit the alert button, the little bell button to let you know when the videos come. Guys, like I said, I'm over 100 subscribers at this point. I really like to get to 300 next. I appreciate all of you all support. Again, like, share, subscribe. I'm out.